Jesus was born as a baby, and we celebrate his birth at Christmas time. And when he grew up, he did wonderful and amazing things. He taught people about God's kingdom and performed miracles that proved he really was God. He called out to the sick and sad and lost people of this world, calling them to follow him and show them a whole new way of living, a way of life and light, love and service. He showed them how to know God and be close to him, just like he was. And because Jesus is God, he lived a perfect life. But unlike any other person who ever lived, he never sinned, not even once. And because he never sinned, he was able to rescue us from our sin and bring us back to God. And this is the story of Easter, the story of God's big rescue. Jesus knew the time had come for him to rescue the world, and so he gathered his friends for one last meal. Jesus shared bread and wine with them. He told them all about God's amazing plan to save them and encouraged them, saying, "Don't worry, I'm going to have to leave you for a while, and you will be very sad, but then you will be filled with joy, because I will see you again." After dinner, Jesus and his friends went out to a garden so Jesus could pray. Jesus went off alone to pray. He talked to God the Father for a long, long time. Sin had come into the world long, long ago and separated God from his people. The people were lost. They didn't know God or love him or obey him. And Jesus knew what he had to do to save all God's children. Jesus said to God, "I trust you. Whatever you say, I will do." Then Jesus, knowing what would happen, went back to his friends saying, "It is time." And immediately an army of soldiers came through the night and arrested Jesus and led him away. Jesus' disciples were scared and they ran away and hid. Even though Jesus had never done anything wrong, he was arrested, like a criminal who had done bad things. The soldiers took Jesus to the Jewish leaders, and then to Pilate, who sent him off to be killed. But don't worry, this was all part of God's plan to rescue the whole world. On a small hill outside the gates of the city of Jerusalem, the people gathered. The soldiers took Jesus, and they put him on a cross. The whole world got very, very dark. The earth trembled and shook. Rocks split in two. It was like a big earthquake. The full force of God's fierce anger against sin was coming down, not on those who had sinned, but on Jesus, the sinless one. It was the only way God could destroy sin and not destroy his children, whose hearts were filled with sin. And Jesus said in a big voice, "It is finished." And then he let himself die. And Jesus was finished what he had come to do. Jesus had come to save the whole world from sin and sadness and death. Jesus had died, and because he, the Son of God, had been willing to die, the whole world was saved. Each and every person was going to be able to know God and be close to him, just like Jesus. Now Jesus' disciples didn't understand what had happened. They were scared and sad and afraid. They locked themselves in the upper room, hiding from the Jewish leaders and wondering why Jesus had to die. But there was a man named Joseph from Arimathea. He was a follower of Jesus. But he followed Jesus secretly because he was afraid of the Jewish leaders. But after Jesus died, he came to Pilate and asked if he could bury him. After Pilate gave his permission, Joseph came and took the body away. Nicodemus went with Joseph. Do you remember Nicodemus? He was a Pharisee who had earlier visited Jesus at night, asking him how a man could be born again. Nicodemus and Joseph of Arimathea took Jesus' body, wrapped him in linen, and laid him in a tomb. They rolled a huge rock in front of the tomb. The Jewish leaders sent strong soldiers to guard the tomb and make sure that no one could get in or out. Day 1, Friday. The guards watched the tomb. All was quiet. Day 2, Saturday. The guards watched the tomb. All was quiet. Day 3, Easter Sunday. The guards watched the tomb, and all was quiet. Then, just before sunrise on Sunday morning, God sent a mighty earthquake and an angel from heaven. When the guards saw the angels, they fell down with fright. And the angel rolled the huge stone away and waited. At the first glimmer of dawn, 2 of Jesus' followers walked quietly along the path until they reached the tomb. But they did not find what they expected. The tomb was wide open, and peering inside, they saw that Jesus' body was gone. "Who has taken the body?" they cried. And then they turned and saw the angel. "Don't be afraid, for I know that you were looking for Jesus, who was killed and buried, but he is not here. He has risen from the dead." Their hearts leapt, and they couldn't speak. They were so filled with joy. Could it be true, they wondered? Jesus was definitely dead. How could he be alive? And then, suddenly, Jesus was there with them. They came to him and hugged him and worshipped him. Jesus said to them, "Go quickly and tell the others." So they rushed off to share the good news with Jesus' disciples. Jesus is alive. We have seen him. And later that night, Jesus appeared to them saying, "I am alive. Look at me. Touch me. It is true. Because I died, your sins are forgiven. Because I rose again, I have defeated death and made a way for you to draw near to God and to be with God forever. This is the gift of God." Jesus' followers rejoiced that day. Darkness and sadness and death had been replaced with light and joy and life. Nothing would ever be the same again. Jesus was alive, and he still is today. Hooray!